But I appreciate you meeting me here and just taking a moment to chat about the program and how it works for you guys and what you're getting out of it and that kind of stuff. But kind of before we get started, I wonder if you could sort of paint a picture for me. Can you talk to me a little bit about, before you even reached out to us or we ever chatted, what problems were you trying to solve in your business? What were the goals? What was kind of not working and that kind of stuff that you were hoping to solve? Can you help me out with that?
Yeah, I got married 2.5 years ago to my wife who had an aerial studio. And
Okay.
and since the beginning, I've wanted to help her. I started helping her with their website and built a way better website. And then I wanted to help her get more students. And so we hired some guy to do some ads for us. And the problem was we were still doing it as a gym, so drop-ins, giving unlimited classes for a monthly fee, and the fee was kind of low. And so it was impossible to know how many students fit in how many classes, and I just didn't really know how to make it grow more. It was doing fine. It was doing fine.
Right.
I just wanted to grow. And so she told me that she wanted to open another location. I essentially made myself in charge of making sure that didn't fail.
Okay.
And
Right.
so I was trying to figure out how to do that. And then I saw your ad on Facebook and I, read some of the stuff you were saying, and it made sense to me and it seemed like it was legit. And so I signed up, and I think the big thing that changed for us was just raising prices and the down payment, and obviously not running it like a gym and making a program. And then it made it so I could know how many kids were in each class, and just made it so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm surprised at how many people sort of struggle with that concept a little bit. Obviously, it's not just you guys. I mean, there's lots of people that sort of struggle with this. And generally what's happening is a lot of studios will have their sort of core group of students, whatever that means, like these higher level folks, whether it's a performance team or a competition team or just kind of higher level thing that the students that have been around for a while. And they have this sort of introductory thing, and there's no real bridge from one to the other. There's no real clear progression from one to the other. And that, of course, that can cause problems as well. But the other thing that you just mentioned there just in passing was this idea of a down payment. And I wanted to get your kind of feedback on that. Another one of the strategies that I think you guys have had quite a bit of success with is running open houses the way that we show to run open houses, so that you're bringing new students in and actually getting them enrolled that day. Can you tell me a little bit, like, let's even get into a couple of the numbers and that kind of stuff. I know you've run a couple of open houses. Tell me, why don't you brag about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So to start our new studio up north, I wanted to sign up as many students as possible. And so the open house seemed like the best option. And so we actually started advertising on Facebook in May, and the open house wasn't until August.
Oh,
And
wow.
so,
Okay.
yeah, so it was a long time. It was a lot longer than what you say we should do. But
Well,
we
it's actually about right. Our recommendation, if it's brand new location, brand new program, we're looking at 3 months. So with a regular open house in an established location, you're right. We're recommending 3 to 4 weeks of marketing beforehand. But
okay.
brand new location like you, yeah, no, we're saying 3 months, man. We absolutely are, for
Yeah,
sure.
so that's what we did. It was about 4 months.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah, and so we just ran Facebook ads, and they did super well. And I basically just copied your ad, but just changed it a little bit for aerial stuff.
Sure.
So there was a little bit of that confidence and poise and flexibility, that stuff that you put in there. And people were signing up. We filled up the first open house with 150 people. And
Nice.
then we did a second one, opened it up to a second date a week later, and we signed up another 150 people. We didn't really see how many people actually came. We didn't really keep track of that very well because it was all just a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, your first time, it's absolutely chaotic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the first day of the open house, we signed up 30 people. Second day, we signed up another 30 people.
Okay. And when you're taking down payments and first month's tuition and stuff, what does what does that look like cash flow? I mean, you guys said I don't remember the number, but how much cash did you take in just that day?
Yeah, I think it was 30,000 for the 2 open houses.
Every extra $30,000 helps, right?
Yeah, yeah. We spent about $50,000 to set up the studio, to
To
buy
just
all
even
the
set up the studio. And
equipment.
you literally did 60% of getting your investment back in a day on that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
if I'm not
And then
mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not mistaken, with just the enrollments you did at the open houses, not including that particular cash flow, you guys are already cash flow positive. You were cash flow positive on that second location before you opened your doors. Is that correct?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this first month we opened our doors in September. We got $19,000, and
Yeah.
that's with the monthly payments of the people who already signed up, and the new people with down payments and monthly payments.
Yeah, this down payment thing, man, I think is a huge thing. It solves so many of the cash flow issues, but especially with a new program or a studio that's just trying to launch and get off the floor. This old idea of having to wait for 3 years or 6 years or whatever to finally be making a profit. It's just an old way of thinking. So you guys are
Yeah.
doing great on that, man. Tell me about future plans for both locations now. What are you thinking you're going to be able to do without too much problem? Like what are your goals for those?
So this past month we made 36,000 total. That's gross. But I mean, I think that we could potentially make. I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, as many people as fit in the studio would. I was thinking we could make up to 900,000 a year with both studios, based on, or even 1 million, depending on how much we charge for the higher levels and figuring all of that out. I mean, that'll take a while for the kids to get to those next levels, especially in the new studio. But I mean, with this, the way that it's set up, it's definitely the sky is the limit for sure.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I don't think it's unreasonable for you guys to be eventually hitting 1 million a year. I mean, we're just talking right now numbers with like tuition rates and upgrades and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of other little sources of income that you guys are going to have plugged into this as well as you're going along. So I don't think that's unreasonable at all with those 2 locations, with what you guys have and how you have going it on. Tell me about your wife. Is she happy with the results? She eager to see more? What's going on there?
Yeah, she's super happy.
Yeah.
She's very excited because before she ran it with passion, and she had a lot of business sense for sure. Um, but since it's set up this way, it's been a lot better, bringing in a lot more cash flow. It's been really
Yeah.
nice.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Tell me a little bit about the systems. And you guys have implemented a prospect pipeline, and you have people following up and that kind of stuff. You guys have staff and everything, even at the new location. You have staff members running some stuff and helping out with all of that as well. Is that true?
Yeah, right now I'm in charge of the new studio prospect pipeline.
Okay.
And I'm going to hand it over to someone soon. But just getting it kind of started and making sure the ads are working and getting people signed up, I feel like it's important to do that for me first, and then eventually hand it off to somebody else once I figure it out. In the other studio, we have.
That's an important point. Let me just riff on that for a second, because that's an exceptionally important point. Like, we generally want the founders of the studios to be willing to get in there and do some of this sort of day-to-day operational work at the beginning anyway, because then you're just in a better position to be able to hand it off to somebody else when it comes time to do that. That kind of work is the kind of work that we want handed off sooner than later. That's how we keep people from finding themselves at the front desk for the rest of their lives. But if you can get in there and be willing to do some of that work yourself at first, all the studios are always better off if they'll do that. So that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah, that's the plan. In the other studio, we have someone running all that stuff.
Good, fantastic. Yeah.
And in the other studio down in Sandy, which is about 45 minutes south of the new one, we haven't been running ads and the classes are full.
Yes.
So,
what are you going to do? Yeah. What are you going to do? This is another thing that I think a lot of people need to keep in mind too, and you guys are a great example of this, coming from a very kind of a very low risk, low barrier of entry offer that you were doing before to what you're doing now. You're enrolling people like when they're first coming in, like somebody makes a down payment and tuition payment. What are they dropping? And it just like right as they're signing up, how much are they paying?
about 300-ish.
Yeah, and that's a fundamental student, like a beginner that doesn't have any experience yet, right? Coming into that program.
Yeah.
And then like if you can get those students to make that kind of a commitment up front by following these little systems, those kinds of people are just simply going to be more dedicated. They have more skin in the game. They're more committed from the front end. You're going to run into the problem that you have now at your other location where like you're going to run out of space sooner than later because you're retaining them better. It's not just about signing up new people. It's about retaining them better on the back end. And the cash flow makes that difference as well. So
yeah. And if someone does drop out, it kind of gets us more because we get a new student who pays another down payment and then.
I know. And not only that, but if you're following the system and you're raising your tuition much more aggressively and much more consistently than anybody else in the industry is doing right now, it's almost like you're glad when one of those classes opens up because you can put a more profitable person in that place. Not that we want to be working that way. Obviously we want to retain students, and that's just a better way to be doing business.
But if they do end up quitting, it is.
But you're not afraid of losing students, is my point. Like people are going to age out of your program, man. Yeah. Mom or dad's going to get a job in another city and they're going to move, or whatever's going to happen, and that's absolutely going to be the case. So how about we kind of flip that on its head and realize that when we do lose those students, we're actually in a better position because you guys are so well positioned to put somebody else who's more profitable in there, take a new down payment, all that kind of stuff. So I would agree with you 100%. That's really awesome. Yeah. Nick, tell me this. What would you, if for somebody who's trying to decide whether or not they ought to come in and follow all these crazy things that we teach, how would you talk them over the fence, man? What would you say?
Well, I would say you don't get money unless you spend money,
For sure.
Yeah. It's a lot of people think, I can just keep doing what I'm doing and get a different result. But you need to invest in your education and invest in your business. And with this, my investment into your program has brought back like 1,000% return, more than that. So
I'm excited to see what you guys pull off, man. I just think, when you start throwing numbers around like 900,000, 100,000 a month, or $1 million a year, like I just don't think it's unreasonable. I just think you guys are going to hit that, and I don't think there's going to be too much in your way. I think you're exactly right about these upgrades and upper level programs. That's where you guys are at now. And it's just going to be a matter of getting students and keeping them long enough to push them into those programs, and with the new facility, at least with the new facility. So I think you want to do that. Yeah.
And everyone seems to be a lot more committed because they put more down up front.
I promise that's a thing. That's a real thing that most people don't understand. My closest competition 3 blocks away from me, right over here from where I'm sitting right now, will enroll students into a little $54 a month program, and beginner students into a $54 a month program, and take a $35, $45 registration fee, whatever they're doing. And then my program is literally 3 times, 4 times as expensive as what they're charging, with a $250 down payment on the front end. And I'm sure they're convinced that they can't charge that much in this city because nobody respects the arts or whatever it is. They're telling themselves that story. It's just a matter of putting the scripts into place the right way, demonstrating enough value, having that higher level messaging that we talk about, and all those things in place, and it's absolutely going to work. And I agree with you 100%. It's a matter of like, what do you want to do? You want to work with fewer students that are paying more and more highly committed, or you want to have a bunch of you want to be running the Walmart of studios and trying to just catch all these little lower end things that are running around with people who aren't committed. I know where I want to be. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm excited to hear what's happening next at the studio. So I hope you guys will keep us posted and let us know how things are going there.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
Nick, thanks. I appreciate you taking some time to do this. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking your time out.